Josh, Maria Andrea, and Erika are three great consultants that you might have worked with or will work with in the future. We're super happy to have them in our team. And they have prepared this presentation showing you the wizards, some of the wizards. And we hope you like it. I'm going to share the presentation now, and remember to use the Q&A functionality if you have a question, okay? So we're all going to now turn off our cameras so that we can concentrate on the content. Thank you, guys. See you after the presentation.
Hi, everyone. I'm Josh Henn, and today we're going to be reviewing the Procurement Confirmation Wizard and the Document Generation. The Document Generation Wizard is only available for AR documents. This includes, but is not limited to, sales quotations, sales orders, deliveries, and AR invoice. We most commonly see customers using this whenever they're doing batch invoicing for open deliveries. This is really helpful, especially if you're doing this on a recurring basis, for example, every day, bi-weekly, or at the end of the month. To open our document generation window, we'll go to our hamburger icon in the upper left-hand corner, select Sales AR, and then select our document generation wizard. When opening up the document generation wizard for the first time, you'll need to define a parameter set. But as I mentioned before, we can save the parameters so you can run this faster down the line. So to start, I'm going to set my name to be Customer Day 23. And I'll go ahead and copy and paste that into the description as well. As I mentioned, we most commonly see this deployed from the delivery to the AR invoice. But again, know that you can start from a sales quotation to a sales order, or a sales quotation all the way to the AR invoice. So what I'm going to select here for my targeted document is that AR invoice. And then, as everyone knows, whenever we're creating an AR invoice, we want to make sure that our posting date and our document date are the same as our AR invoice, because the AR invoice is affecting not only our GL, but also our inventory. Here we can define what document numbering series we want it to go to. Currently, I only have one document numbering series, so I'm going to leave this as primary. Next, we have our items and service type invoices for invoices. So what we can do is, if there are open item and service type deliveries, we could pull those into item or service type documents as well. In this case, I don't have any service type documents open, so I'm just going to use my items type. Last but not least, we have our exchange rate here. If you are using multi-currencies, what we want to do is we want to make sure that we're using the correct date to take into account our exchange rate. So in this case, what I'm using is the 1030 exchange rate. So I'll go ahead and click next. Next, we need to determine where we're pulling our base documents from. Again, using our demonstration here, I'm just going to pull my deliveries to my AR invoice. And again, on our document types, we can select one, or we can select all three of these documents to be pulled into invoices. So I'll go ahead and select my deliveries here. Next, we got to determine when we want our range to be of documents to pull into our new document. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back 45 days because that's the last day I invoiced for, and I'll leave my to date as today. So again, a little tip here, what I could do is I can change my posting date to go back a certain amount of days by clicking minus or plus 45. And then I can use the T to populate today's date, or any number on your keyboard. Then I can select my delivery date. Again, I'm going to copy the same thing. So I'll go minus and then 45. And then also our 2 should be T for today. I can expand the selection criteria for using things like user-defined fields as well, if I need to get a little bit more granular on what documents should be pulled from. Last but not least, I've got my do not create documents containing zero quantity lines or no lines. This is helpful if you have an item type or a service type that we don't want to use or to include into this document generation wizard. I'm going to leave that open for now, though. Next, we have our consolidation rules. And what this allows you to do is, let's say, for example, we had 3 deliveries open for one business partner. And instead of issuing them 3 different invoices, I wanted to pull that into one AR invoice. To do that, what I can do is select my ship to address, or if I select my expanded consolidation options, I can define certain user-defined fields or other things like that that might help me consolidate those items so that the customer isn't getting as many invoices. So I'll leave that open for now. I'm just going to use my ship to address currently. So I'll select next. Here I need to define what customers I want to pull for. So in this case, I'm going to use all my customers. So what I'll do is I'll select add customers in the bottom right-hand corner and then leave my selection criteria wide open. What this will allow users to do is to go through an alphanumeric process of taking a range of customers. We can also do this by customer groups or business partner properties as well, if we want to break that down a little bit more and only invoice for a certain region of our business. So we'll go ahead and select OK. And this is going to select all of our business partners since we left that selection criteria open. This is really helpful if you maybe want to exclude one business partner that you would invoice for the day before manually, and you don't want to include them in your document generation wizard run. So let's say, for example, I wanted to deselect my CF test here. I can just go ahead and remove that, and that won't be taken into consideration in our document generation wizard. So I'll go ahead and select next. Now we need to define how we want to handle any errors that might arise. For example, let's say for a customer exceeds the credit limit or commitment limit definitions that we define in the business partner master data. We can maybe set those definitions to say, yep, we want to exclude that if they create that error. So we're going to go ahead and select next now. Leave that open for now. And then, as I mentioned, I want to save this parameter set so that I can come back and run it at the end of the month or at the end of next week or something like that. So I don't have to go through all these steps again. So what I'll do now is I'll select next, and the document generation wizard is going to run, with the exception that we have a little warning here that says, hey, these AR invoices are going to be created. And as everyone knows with the AR invoice, we can't go in and modify those invoices with a few exceptions once they've been added. So I'll go ahead and select yes. And then our document generation wizard is going to be added. So as you can see, we have a perfect example of AR invoices that were created. We had 2 consolidated AR invoices created for one of our customers. And then we had a standalone AR invoice, but we also had a customer that reached an error. So in this case, the customer had exceeded that credit limit. So those invoices were not created from that delivery. So now that I'm satisfied with my results, I could click finish, and then I can go find my 1132 and 1133, and then maybe investigate why this customer was not allowed to be or have an invoice created for them. So I'll go ahead and select finish, and then I can open up my AR invoice. I'll select my toggle key to go to the most recent AR invoice that was added. And as you can see, this is generated from the document generation wizard. There are 3 scenarios where the procurement confirmation wizard might be helpful. Number 1, drop shipping. This is where items are sold by your company, but are manufactured and shipped directly to the customer through a vendor. In this scenario, you will most likely be creating a purchase order directly from the sales order. Number 2, processing back orders. In this scenario, you have committed to selling an item to a customer that is not in stock, but this item is made in-house. Rather than using MRP to create the production order, you would like to create the production order directly from the sales order. Number 3, short stock on production orders. Let's say you are creating a production order and do not have the required inventory in stock to complete the order. Rather than using MRP, you would like to create the purchase order directly from the production order. Before we start using the procurement confirmation wizard, there are some prerequisites that need to be met, namely in the item master data set. First is the procurement method is set up correctly. The procurement method can be defined in the planning data tab. If the procurement method is set to buy, SAP will create the purchase order by default. If the procurement method is set to make, however, SAP will create a production order by default. Next is the procurement method. If the item is procurement method defined as buy, the purchase item checkbox in the item master data header must be selected. And last but not least, license type and authorization. Your user must have the correct authorizations to add either procurement document and has the correct authorizations for the procurement confirmation wizard. In addition, you'll at least need a limited logistics license or a professional user to create this. Now let's jump into SAP and see how the Procurement Confirmation Wizard works. Before we can get started with the Procurement Confirmation Wizard, we want to make sure that our item master data is set up properly. The first place that we want to check is to make sure that our item is marked as a purchasing item if we're going to be creating a purchase order for this item. Next, we'll go to our Planning Data tab. Now we need to define the correct procurement method. Here we have two options, buy and make. Obviously, buy is going to recommend that we create a purchase order. If your item is a finished good or maybe a sub-assembly or has a bill of materials, we want to make sure that our procurement method is set to make. That way, the Procurement Confirmation Wizard will recommend that we create a production order. There are two places where we can activate the Procurement Confirmation Wizard from. First, being the sales order. I'm going to go down into my table here and find my allowed procurement document. If I can't find this field or it's not already showing on my sales order, what I can do is I can go up to my form settings, go to table format, and then I can search for this. You'll see my allowed procurement document here. Once you find the field that you're looking for, we can select the visible field, and then the active field will populate automatically. So once I select that, I'll go ahead and click OK, and then I should be good to go. The other place I can find this would be on the production order. So I'll open up a new production order, and then I can select Procure Items. Now in this case, this is going to update the Allow Procurement Document field on all line items. So go ahead and click Update. And now my Procurement Confirmation Wizard is going to populate for us automatically. Now that we're in the Procurement Confirmation Wizard, there's a 6-step process that we need to walk through to create that procurement document. So the first step is going to be the base document type and customers. This is just acknowledging where you're pulling this document from. In this case, this is that production order that we were just looking at. So I'll go ahead and skip through here and click Next. Next, we'll have an understanding of what our base document was. So in this case, it was a production order for this item, and the status is set to release. Here we have our order date, start date, and due date that also came from the production order. Now you'll notice once you get a little bit more familiar with this process, we can skip to the final step. So go ahead and click Next. Here are all the items that came from the production order. So what I can do is I can set a purchase order for all of these items. And if I want to buy them all from the same vendor, I can certainly do that here. But you'll notice that we've got all the preferred vendors for each item already defined in the item master data. So I won't need to make any changes here, but I can certainly make any updates here that I might want to. So for example, maybe I wanted to buy in orders of or intervals of 25. I can replace my quantity of 25 here. And same with the price. If I needed that to change to $27 instead of $25, no problem. I can adjust that here. Next, I can change my delivery date if the delivery date deviates per items. It looks like we've got quite a long lead time for these items to be received into stock. So I'll go ahead and select Next once I'm satisfied with my results. Now we have a consolidate option. So what this allows us to do is if we go back to our previous step, you'll see that we have 4 line items here that are all from the same vendor. Rather than creating 4 different purchase orders for this vendor, I can go ahead and consolidate those all onto one purchase order. So in this case, we should be expecting only 2 purchase orders to be created. So again, you can come back here and you can consolidate these by vendor, target document, and things like that. Okay. So I'll go ahead and select Next to go to my 5th step. Here we'll get a preview of the 2 documents that are going to be created. So here I've got my vendor, vendor name, target document numbering series, and item number. We also have our base document number, item description, and then our quantity, price, and discount that we were just adjusting. Once I'm satisfied with this preview, I can go ahead and select Next, and the documents will then be created. So as you can see, I've got my spinning wheel there, and this is going to create those purchase orders. So now as a summary report, I'm going to be able to select these procurement documents that were created. Again, these are both purchase orders. So using my golden arrow, I can go validate that those purchase orders were correct, and then make any changes I might need. So let's say, for example, I needed to change my delivery date or something like that. No problem. I can go ahead and change that. And then I can come up here and email that to the customer or to the vendor. The same process applies for our sales order as well. We're going to walk through the same module, except in this case, we're going to need to click update on the line item, and it's only going to be created for the line items that have the allowed procurement document here. So I'll go and click add view. Now you'll notice that the procurement confirmation wizard comes up automatically. The same method applies for the items that have a procurement method as make. In this case, we have an item that has a bill of materials. Therefore, we would like to create a production order for it. We'll follow the same process. We'll go to my allowed procurement document here, scroll down and click update. And the procurement confirmation wizard is going to be launched. So again, we'll look at our base document type and customers. We'll acknowledge that this is the correct business partner code and the business partner name for the document that we were just creating. Then we'll select next. We'll determine the base documents that we're looking for here. And again, we're going to keep this the same as our 1114 item here. Click next. And you'll notice that our target document has changed from a product or purchase order on the other items that we purchased to a production order. Now we can go ahead and modify this as we want, but if we were to go into the item master data for MRP BOM item, we'll notice that this item is not marked as a purchasing item. Therefore, we won't be allowed to create a purchase order for this item. So once we're satisfied with our quantity, the warehouse, and the delivery date, right, we'll go ahead and select next and walk through the same process again. Obviously, on a production order, there can only be one item. So in this case, we won't have any consolidation for the item. Go ahead and click next one more time. Again, this is going to give us the preview of the document that's to be created. So I'll click next one last time. And now my production order is going to be created. One thing that's really great about this is that if I were to go into the relationship map for this production order, you'll be able to see the linked sales order through the procurement confirmation wizard. Same works for those purchase orders that we created from the sales order last time.
For companies with multiple price lists, it is time-consuming to update them when needed by hand. The Price Update Wizard will allow you to update prices in the most efficient way. The Price Update Wizard provides multiple methods to let you update prices globally. The wizard guides you step by step to the definition of parameters required to update prices. To access the price list wizard in SAP Business One, choose Inventory, Price Lists, Price Update Wizard. You can also access it by opening Price List window, and you will find the Price Update Wizard button. Click on it and the wizard will begin. Click Next to go to the first step. In this step, you will select the preferred method for updating the prices. Item prices will allow you to update the prices through mathematical operations. You can choose multiply, divide, add, subtract, or equal to. Equal to will allow you 0 or positive values, while the other options only allow you positive values. For this example, we will choose add and $5. Base price lists allow you to update prices by defining the base price list and the factor. From the base price list drop down, select a price list and define a positive value for the factor field. When you execute the update, the prices are to be updated according to the selected base price list and the defined factor. If you want to change the factor without changing the base price list, select Current Base Price List from the list. If you want to set up a price list based on itself, select Same as Target Price List. For this example, we will choose Select Account Sales Price and a factor of 0.7. What this will do, we will decrease the price list for by the items by 30%. Convert to exchange rate allows you to update prices by converting them to a different currency. Select the currency that you want to convert the prices to and specify the exchange rate between the foreign currency and the local currency that applies to the price conversion. If the prices are converted between two different foreign currencies, they will be converted to the local currency first using the exchange rate defined in the exchange rate index window, and then converted to the selected foreign currency by applying this specific exchange rate. The last option is unit of measure reduced by percentage option. This will allow you to update price by updating the reduced percentage information on the unit of measure prices. Select one of the following mathematical operation methods for updating and define a reduced by percentage value using it. For this exercise, we will choose item prices and we will add $10. Click next for step number 2. In this step, you will define the parameters to select the prices you want to update. This step is further split into 2 sub-steps for item selections and price selection. In the item selection sub-step, you will specify the selection criteria for the item perspective, meaning the prices will be updated later for the eligible items only. In the price selection sub-step, after we execute the update, only the eligible prices are updated in the price list, and they are updated for the eligible items only. Here we are seeing the item selection criteria. In the preferred vendors code, you can specify the range of preferred vendor to filter the items that you want to update prices for. Item number from and to allows you to specify the range of the item number to filter the items that you want to update prices for. We can also use item group to filter the items that you want to update prices for, as well as manufacturers. You can also use item properties as a selection criteria. We may further choose if we want to include items with no price. By default, this checkbox is not selected. Further, we are also able to define if we want to include inactive items. Also, by default, this checkbox is not selected. For our example, we will choose only one item. So we will specify the same item code in the from and to values. Click next. We have now reached the second sub-step price selection field. Here, it is mandatory that we choose a price list in which you want to update prices for. To choose multiple price lists at the same time, choose the Browse button to the right of the price list drop-down, and the price list window will open. In the price list window, once you have selected a price list, any other price list that is directly or indirectly using it as the base price list will be selected automatically and cannot be deselected. In our case, we will only update one price list, small account sales price. By default, only the primary currency checkbox is selected. You must select at least one of the current related checkbox. Select the currency in which the prices you want to update are set. By default, we will leave it at all currencies. Select the unit of measure for which the prices you want to update are set. When you select other or both manual and other unit of measure options, the Browse button to the right of the unit of measure drop-down becomes available. Browse to the unit of measure windows in which you can select multiple unit of measures. Decide whether you want to update the prices using selected unit of measure as pricing units or non-pricing units. To enable the selection of the unit of measures in the table, select at least one of the following checkboxes: pricing unit or a specific unit of measure. For unit of measures that are pricing units, prices will be updated directly when the unit of measures are selected. For a specific unit of measure, the prices will be updated only when the selected unit of measures are not pricing units, and the auto checkbox in the price list itself in the price window is not selected. Now that we have select our price list, primary currency, all currencies, and the unit of measure is set as manual unit of measure, we can then choose next for our example. The third step is the simulation. In here, you can see the item that you selected, and we can see that the current price is 710, and it will increase to 720 by the definitions that we choose. If you have selected multiple items, we can choose either to group the results by items or by price lists. You have to click the update checkbox in order to execute this change. Click the execute button and note that due to the possibility of multiple connections to the database, the simulation results may differ from the final update results. Click OK to continue. This will take you to the summary step and the last step as well. In step 4, summary window, we can verify that the price were updated successfully. You can choose to display error messages and information messages as required. Click Finish and your price update will be concluded.
Hello, my name is Maria Reyes. I will show you how the payment wizard in SAP Business One works. The payment wizard enables us to generate incoming and outgoing payments in batches according to the selected accounts receivable and accounts payable open transactions and the selected payment method. When creating incoming and outgoing payments using the payment wizard, we can partially pay a specific transaction, exactly the same way as we do it when we are working it manually. To use the payment wizard, we need to make sure we have the correct setup configuration in the system. First, we will go to Administration, Setup, Banking. The first thing we need to make sure we have it in the system is banks. We need to have the banks from where we are doing the payment or where the incoming payment is coming in. Second, we need to go to our house bank accounts and make sure we have all the information from our bank. The account number and the GL account numbers are very important, together with the next check number if we issue checks from those banks. Then we need to see if our payment methods are correct. In this case, I have few incoming and outgoing payment methods. But today, in today's example, I am going to do the payment wizard for outgoing payment by checks. So payment method with payment type outgoing and payment mean check needs to be configured in the system. We also need to add the house bank from where we are issuing those checks. Finally, we need to go to our business partners and make sure, I'm going to search my business partner, make sure our payment method code is correctly assigned into each business partner. If I open my business partners in payment run, I can select the default payment method. I can modify and I can clear the payment method as well. In this case, I'm using outgoing checks, the one I showed you before. After reviewing these 4 steps, we are ready to start using the payment wizard. Remember that today's example is about doing a payment, a batch payment with outgoing payments with checks. Now I'm going to start showing how the payment wizard works in SAP Business One. We go through banking. We start the payment wizard. Next, we have 2 options. We can start a new payment run, or we can load a saved payment run. I'm going to start with the new payment run, and then I will show you how to load a saved payment run. I hit next. The payment run name, you can add any name. The system will bring you a default name, but you can add any name that you want. The payment run date, this one is very important because the payment run date is going to give you the posting date of the outgoing payments and the checks that are going to be printed. So if you are running or you want the posting date to be different than today's date, you need to modify the run date. Very important, payment time. In this case, I'm doing an outgoing, but we have the option to do an outgoing or an incoming. I'm going to do this example with the outgoing payment. And the payment means we have the option to do bank transfer or check. As I already told you, the bank transfer will give you a file at the end of the payment run. And if we select check, it will give us it will generate the checks in order for us to print them. In this case, I'm doing outgoing payment by check. Next. In this business partner selection criteria, I'm able to add the BP that I want, or I can add them all. So I'm just going to hit add to list, so the system brings me all the BPs that are due on the date that I want them. Right, press next. Here, the document parameters. My selection priority, I have posting date, due date, cash discount, or pay to detail. I want to bring all the documents with due date, and I'm going to do the due date here, 10/29. If I do posting date, it will bring all the documents with posting date with this field here. But in this case, I'm using with due date. Now I need to select the bank that I want to use. In this case, I have 2 options on doing outgoing payment by checks. I have 2 different payment means with checks, but with 2 different house bank accounts. In this case, I'm going to select this one. And we can also select, if we want to select the maximum outgoing payment amount, we can just add, let's say if I have balance in the bank and I don't want to go over $10,000, let's say $50,000. I can add here the maximum amount, 50. And the system, if I go over this amount, the system will not allow me to print or to generate that payment run. But if I just leave this blank, I can go and I can add any balance amount to those payment runs. I hit next. Now it gives me a recommendation report by due date. I got all these vendors. If I double click here, sorry, if I do one click here, it will uncheck all these boxes. If I do it again here, it checked them all. I'm going to uncheck it because I'm going to select some with US dollars. In this company, I have different currencies, but for this example, I'm just going to do US dollars payments. So let's say I'm looking into the detail of this BP partner, and I want to pay this invoice, and for this invoice, I want to pay just I want to do a partial payment. And let's say it's going to be 25,000. So I'm able to, in the document amount, to write the amount I want to pay. And let's say that for this one, I want also, I'm going to do some payment as well. Let's say these invoices. And I just go next. In this window, I can save the options or I can execute the payment run. For this case, in this case, I'm going to save recommendations because I want to show you how to load them when you come back. So I'm just gonna save recommendations. Next. It takes a few minutes. Payment wizard has been recommended successfully. I'm going okay. Here I can have several reports. One that I like most is the BP summary report because it gives you the detail of the payments by BP. You can do copy with the right click copy table and paste this to your Excel file. But I like this one. You can also have other reports like a payment summary report. It gives you all the payments from which bank you did the payment, and you have some other reports. I'm going to do finish. If I go again to my payment wizard, I go next. In this case, I'm going to load saved payment run. I will see here my list of saved payment runs with the recommendations. If I select this one, I go next. Next, it shows me what I have selected for this payment run. Everything is saved. And now I'm ready to execute my payment. Also, I can come here and modify these transactions. So maybe in this moment, I don't want to pay this one. And I go next. In this window, we execute the payment run. Please remember that when executing payment run, as we are doing outgoing payments with checks, what is going to happen is that the system will post outgoing payment documents in the system for each payment, for each BP, and it will also generate a check to be printed. So I'm going next. So we need to be really sure if we are executing this payment run, because all those documents will be automatically generated. The payment wizard has been executed successfully. I go okay. Again, I can have my my reports here, and I know what has been paid. I go to finish. Now I want to review my outgoing payments. Outgoing payments. I'm going to my last outgoing payment, and here I can see that posting with the posting date, and the other BP, it was this one. This was a partial payment. You can see from 80,000 I paid 25,000. If I go to my payment means, I can see it was by check. And now I'm ready to print those checks. So I usually go to document printing. My document type is checks for payment. I do posting date today. Print checks to be printed. I need to select the house bank account, and also the due date, it needs to be up to date. Tab. I go OK, and I can see here my checks that I want to print. If I go to each check, I can see the details on the checks. I can also go and do a preview on the check, how it's going to be printed with all the information here. I'm closing. Now I'm going to print. In this case, I'm just going to print in PDF. I want to see, let me see what was the check number is 14 and 15. Okay, 14, save. And now I need to do check. Then I will need to confirm those checks. So I need to confirm the number of the checks, if they were correct, and if it's confirmed that is printed. I can also, if I have some more checks here, I can always change the status of all of them at once as confirmed. And I just update, and I am done. I have done my payment, my outgoing payments by checks. I have printed the checks, and I'm done with my payments. Please remember that if you want to do ACH payments with an ACHA file, we need to do a configuration before running that file. And thank you. Please let us know if you have any questions about the payment wizard and how we can help you with this.
Thank you, Maria Andrea, Josh, and Erika for those presentations. I hope that our customers enjoyed them as much as I did. Our recommendation, just a reminder about the session, the rating, and the giveaway. I'm going to post a link in the chat so that you can all go to that link and rate this session. Please let me know once you can see it, so that you can enter that giveaway raffle for the remarkable paper tablet. In the meantime, we're going to check if there are any questions. But before going to the questions, I wanted to do a general recommendation to our customers. The idea of these webinars showing you these tools in SAP Business One is so that you get familiar with them. If you're going to try to use these tools on your own, our recommendation is to always try first on a test database, because as Maria Andrea was explaining and as Josh showed and Erika, once you activate these wizards, the result will be real transactions on your database, and many of them at the same time, for that matter. So this is an introduction to these tools. The recording will be available, so you can stop and see every step. But for the first time, please do it on your test database. Probably a lot of questions will come up for you. Okay, the consultants are using demo databases, and each one of your databases have differences. So they were set up in a specific way because your processes work in a slightly different way from a demo. A demo is like a vanilla scenario, if you will. So this is our recommendation. Watch this webinar again if you want to try to use one of these wizards. Try on a test database. Make note of all the questions that come up for you, things that might not look exactly the same as they looked for them in the demo, and then schedule a consulting session with one of our consultants. This session is going to be so much more effective if you already know the wording, if you know the process a little bit, and if you have specific questions. We don't mean to say that you cannot do it on your own, but we see that a lot of people, when you try on your own, that it's kind of different, and that's precisely what we're here for. We are consultants. We have a lot of knowledge in SAP Business One, not me, but I'm surrounded by very smart consultants like today, and this is what we do. This is our business. Our business is to help you get the most out of your system. So this is just like a preview for you to understand that this is available in the system for you to try on a test database, and then book a session with one of our consultants to avoid, maybe something that then it's very difficult to go back to. So the wizard will create those documents, will create those transactions. So you might want to be, with one of our consultants by your side when you do this for the first time on your live database. Okay, let's get to the questions now. I see that we have a question. Let me see. Oh, Jessica, yes. Yes, the question was, will this recording be sent to you? Yes, the recording will be sent to you. It will also be available on our website. So you will have access to the recording. I don't see any other questions today. So you did a very good job, guys. Nobody has any questions, but like I was mentioning, probably once you start trying to apply these wizards to your specific database and processes, questions will come up. That's what we're here for. So thank you for being here. Thank you again, Josh, Maria Andrea, and Erika. I know that making time for these recordings, once they're done, it looks easy, but I know you really have to go out of your way to find and block this time on your calendars and dedicate yourselves to doing this. I really appreciate this. This is for our customers. This is our customer day, and you help make it a success. So thank you very much. I hope you all have a very nice day.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Okay.